Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we are reading His Reasons. It's a Todoroki X-Reader fanfic by AshleyH713 on quotev.com, which will be linked in the description. Try to do that in one breath. We're gonna read chapter 18 today. This is the only record I'm gonna do today because I got to finish A Silent Voice on Netflix because it was like midnight by the time I started watching it, and it's a 2-hour long thing, so yeah, decided I wasn't gonna watch it that night. I got a little into it. I got like 20 minutes into it or some shit, so that said 33 out of 129, but I'm pretty sure I was only like 20 something minutes into it if I remember right, but maybe not. I don't know how that thing works. Yeah, so gonna read this and then watch that and catch up on some sleep so I can work on my cosplay boots tomorrow, because I'm so lazy during the day that I didn't even do that today. Hey, you're not even gonna see this video until May 2nd, so irrelevant. By that time they'll be done, but don't count me on that because probably not. Yeah, so let's begin. Walking hand in hand down the street, Todoroki and Mari hummed as they took in the time they had missed. In all honesty, it had only been a couple days, but somehow their separation felt like years. She supposed that just showed how much they meant to each other now. It was impossible to go back. It was getting late, which meant it was almost time to retreat back to the dorms, although Amari withered at the thought. Soon she'd have to be in the midst of those rumors again, hearing them say such horrible things about Todoroki and her brother. She wasn't sure if she was ready to hear that again. He noticed her tensed hand right away, though, now leaning forward in concern. Amari? What is it? Is something wrong? Shaking her head, the girl replied, No, I'm okay. Sorry, I guess. I'm just thinking about what we'll have to face at school together. The whole world saw my confession again, so I can't wait to see what they say this time. I swear, just when I think I couldn't embarrass myself more. She groaned just thinking about it, causing Todoroki to tighten his grip. Regardless of what they decide to say, I'll be right there next to you. I promise to never leave you again. Amari smiled to herself at that, the heat rising in her cheeks as another question appeared in his head. Speaking of that, what happened that day before class? I wanted to go to you, but since we weren't together, I couldn't. Is everything all right? She remembered the day very clearly. Her threatening that student along with her talk with Katsuki. The thought made her smile to herself. Oh, it wasn't anything big. I just freaked out because someone tried to say something about Katsuki, and I thought I'd have to distance myself from him as well. My heart couldn't take it, but it's okay because he and I talked, and I think we understand each other a bit more now. This made the boy fairly curious. Really? What did you talk about? Shaking her head once, Amari replied, He told me he loved me. Turns out Katsuki never hated me all this time. Just hearing him say that lifted so much weight off my shoulders. Now I feel like I can do anything. Like crash an engagement party, for example. He winked at her joke, and Todoroki couldn't help but smile. Oh, she winked at her joke, and Todoroki couldn't help but smile. He was so happy to learn that Bakugo was finally opening up to her. Well, I'm glad you did, and that's great. I'm happy for you, Amari. It seems your family is mending back together. Thinking about his words, Amari smiled. Yeah, I guess it is. Todoroki looked down at his hands, now sighing exasperation. I wish I could say the same about mine, though I never have any idea what my old man is thinking, and I'm so different from my siblings. It makes me think we'll never be a real family. He even went behind my back to break us up. Frowning in response, Amari squeezed his hand in reassurance. Hey, if your dad can't see how great you are and support your choices, then he's not a real father. Maybe one day he'll get his head out of his ass, but until then, you have me. I'll always be here for you, Shoto. I'm kind of stuck now anyway, since I don't have a quirk or anything like that. He nodded his head before lifting her hand up and kissing the backside softly before replying, Thank you. You are the closest thing to family I've ever had. What did I ever do to find someone as wonderful as you? Blushing back, Amari quickly ripped her hand away before nervously replying, What? Oh, come on. I'm really not that special. I have lots of problems attached to me, and I cause you a lot of issues. And I tend to be reckless and ramble a lot, and it seems I'm doing that now. Am I doing that now? Oh, I guess I am. Oops. At her spastic nature, Todoroki couldn't help but smile. It had been months since she spoke with such energy and passion. You're finally back. I miss this side of you, Amari. Turning away from embarrassment, Amari smiled as well, now seeing a small convenience store a couple feet from them. Being stuck in that school meant she couldn't have any outside food, and she suddenly really had a craving. She pointed in the direction of the store before replying. Hey, I'm gonna stop in and get some noodles for the dorms real quick before we head back. Todoroki glanced uneasily towards the door, a pit appearing in his stomach. I don't think that's such a great idea. People still think you're a villain. Although Amari only waved him off, tightening the hood over her head. I'll be fine. I already sneaked into the hospital like this. I'll only be a second. You wait here. I'll get you some soba while I'm in there also. He couldn't deny how much he liked soba, now feeling a craving himself. It was only a minute or two. She'd be fine, right? All right. Be careful. Turning towards the door, Amari smirked. Careful is my middle name. I'll be back. He watched her turn the corner, still feeling that heavy pit in his stomach. For some reason, as she disappeared around towards the entrance. Why was he feeling this way? It was just a convenience store. Oh no. Foreshadowing. Amari hummed to herself, almost reaching the door when a hand reached out from the darkness, wrapping around her mouth and pulling her into the back alley next to the store. Fighting against her attacker, the girl muffled against the large body as she pounded her fists and legs into the stranger, but sadly to no avail. She needed to get out of here and fast. Without a quirk, she couldn't do much, although she stopped when the attacker began to speak, seemingly amused with her struggle. You keep going like that, and you're going to pass out. Widening her eyes, the man dropped his hold on her mouth so that she could reply, now looking into the gaze of Dobby. Still not a name I can say. Purple-skinned zombie man. What the hell? Let me go. The villain didn't comply, though, only narrowing his eyes in response. If I do that, then you'll run off before I'm able to finish my sentence. Sorry, sweetheart, but just hold still for a minute, okay? Growling back, Amari lunged at the man, hissing back in response. What do you even want with me anyways? I told you to leave me alone, you creep. Dobby only frowned, though. I wouldn't have had to come here if you answered my calls. Not a smart idea to ignore a villain, little Bakugo. Rolling her eyes, she was already over him. It's because I already know what you're going to say. Maybe I don't want to listen to your therapy sessions anymore. Yet his hold only tightened, obviously not pleased with the response. You aren't understanding me. I'm only trying to make you understand what's happening here. Why won't you just accept what you already are? You really are stubborn. She pushed against his arm then, answering back roughly. I already know what's happening. You were wrong about everything. Katsuki and Shoto accept me for who I am, regardless if I'm quirkless or not, and I'll make the world see the same. Shaking his head, Dobby replied, You may think that, but they are all deceiving you. There's no way a villain can live in this society. Just face it, kid. You belong with us. Mari didn't seem convinced, though. Okay, what is it with this weird obsession thing you have with me? I already told you it's not gonna happen, so just take your zombie ass. Okay. So just take your zombie ass and leave me alone. Go find someone else to recruit already, would you? Understanding the fact that she still wasn't listening made him growl, pulling her arm back even further as she grunted in pain. You just like running into fire, don't you? Well, I suppose that makes sense. No wonder why he chose you out of everyone. She turned her brow in confusion, speaking back through gritted teeth as she ignored the pain. What kind of nonsense are you saying now? Although Dobby could only smirk, leaning closer to the girl in question. Alright, it seems I need to try another approach then. That boy, Todoroki Shoto, you care for him quite a bit, don't you? At Todoroki's name, Mari sprung to life, crawling at her freedom even more desperately now. I swear, if you even think about laying a hand on him, I'll kill you myself, Dobby. Her response got a small chuckle out of him. I'll take that as a yes. You're so protective of him. Saying that you'll kill someone isn't really a hero trait to have, you know. Yet Amari wasn't pleased, kicking him in the leg resulting in no reaction from the man. I don't care what you have to say. Don't you dare touch him, you asshole. Noticing her fighting even more, Davi got his answer right away. This girl loved that boy. Wasn't that interesting? There's that fiery spirit. You should hold on to that. You'll need it if you want to stay with him. She twisted her brow in confusion, replying, okay, first you want to be my therapist, and now you want to be my love coach or something? What the hell? I don't need your advice. What even gives you the right to say that? Dabi could only smile bitterly, though, thinking about something in particular. Oh, you'd be surprised, Bakugo. That family is nothing but a disaster. I'm telling you now, it's better if you don't get involved. Shaking her head, Amari huffed. Like I'd believe anything you have to say. The villain paused for a moment then, before pulling the girl up to his level and speaking seriously. Since you still refuse to listen, I suppose I'll have to let you in on a little secret. Something that will change your mind. Looking at him in confusion, Dabi then leaned close into her ear and whispered out a sentence that made her entire body tense up all at once. What? No, that was impossible. He was lying. There was no way that was true. Then he let go of her arm, the girl now standing in utter and complete shock. She didn't know what to say or do. Everything was swirling around her in a million miles as his voice rang through her ears once more. Contact me if you want to hear more. Todoroki's voice carried throughout the space then, seemingly nervous about the girl since she was taking so long. Amari, are you alright? Hearing his voice muffled in her ears, Amari still couldn't find the will to move, too occupied with processing Davi's words. The man seemed to notice this, though, touching one of the strands of her hair and smirking. I'm sure I'll hear from you soon. Then he disappeared. The next thing Amari was able to register after that was Todoroki shaking her shoulders, seeming concerned for her. Is something wrong? At his words, the girl blinked back to life before taking one glance towards the side of the building and replying, Oh, yeah, I'm okay. Sorry, I got distracted. Letting out a sigh of relief, Todoroki's hand rejoined with hers, now pointing back towards the dorm sharply. Alright, well, we should get going then. Amari nodded her head, the boy pulling her away from the store, although the girl had only one thought on her mind. What he said couldn't have been true, right? What did he say? The next day approached, and Amari walked down the halls a little bit more confident than usual. Sure, the whispers never ceased, but at least she knew that Katsuki and Todoroki were there for her regardless. That made a world of difference. Just then, someone poked her shoulder lightly, turning to see Aizawa staring back at her. Bakugo, you are needed in the principal's office again. Narrowing her eyes in confusion, she nodded her head. Okay, but do you know why? All she got in response was a heavy sigh, though. No, and I don't really care. Your teacher already knows, so just hurry already. Then he just turned on his heels, leaving the poor girl wondering who could possibly want to talk to her now. The last conversation she was summoned to didn't work out so well. Although Amari got her answer once she opened the door to the office, now meeting eyes with Endeavor for the second time in the last couple weeks. Seriously? You can't call or something? That's what normal people do, you know. Todoroki's father seemed rather calm, though. Sit. But the girl was smarter this time, taking a step back in utter disgust. Wow, you have some serious nerve, Endeavor. I can't believe you. The man then remained silent as Amari narrowed her eyes. She was so over this man, trying to lie and cheat his way to get what he wanted. No, she wouldn't let him, and before she knew it, she was angrily spitting the words that she had kept for weeks towards this man. She needed him to know she wasn't backing down. Taking a step forward, she hissed, How dare you? You think you can walk in here and just expect me to follow your little games? I trusted you to do what was best for Shoto, and you went behind my back, lied to me, and tried to get me to abandon him just like you did all those years ago. Well, I got some news for you. You asshole. I'm not going anywhere. In fact, you and the media can go screw yourself, because I am done with listening to whatever anyone has to say. I love Shoto, and I will protect him, even from you. So if you think you're going to come in here and try to tell me to leave again, then you are sorely mistaken. Huffing from the loss of breath, the girl paused, then allowing herself to calm down, as the man replied, short and calm. I know. Not understanding his words, Amari cut him off, still fuming. Damn right you better know. Wait, did you just say you know? Nodding his head, Endeavor crossed his arms over his chest roughly. Yes, Bakugo, I know. I'm not here for that. So would you sit down? She eyed the man with confusion before slowly making her way over to the chair next to her. Something was different with him. Amari fully expected him to blow up at her after calling him out like that. Endeavor saw her apprehension and spoke again, this time a bit rougher. The display you showed yesterday was irresponsible, but I don't know what I should have expected from someone that runs into burning buildings and confesses to my son in front of the entire world. Yet it seems somehow you keep surprising me. Feeling slightly embarrassed from his statement, Amari frowned. Would you get to the point already? The less time I have to be with you, the better. The man sighed in frustration then. I have an offer that would be beneficial to both of us. Shaking her head, Amari already began to stand. Yeah, I'm out. I don't want anything to do with your plans. Yet Endeavor leaped forward as well, grabbing onto her arm roughly. Bakugo, listen. The media can be used to your advantage. She stopped then, looking down at his hands. Don't touch me. And what the hell are you even talking about? In case you've forgotten, the media still thinks I'm a villain. This caused the man to nod. Exactly. This is something only you alone can do. Didn't you say you wanted to protect my son? Narrowing her eyes, Amari shrugged off Todoroki's father before replying, I'm listening. Then Endeavor told her about the reason why he was there, causing Amari to widen her eyes in shock, now rethinking all her plans in a single moment. That's not going to tell us either. Walking to the dorms, Amari stared blankly at the building when she felt her body getting shoved aside a couple feet, wobbling in a fight to remain standing. Hey, what are you staring at? She regained her footing only to find Katsuki standing next to her. Oh, it's nothing. Sorry. I was just zoning out. Hey, what are you staring at? Oh, it's nothing. Sorry, I was just zoning out. I guess there is just a lot on my mind. Eyeing her in concern, Bakugo replied, Are there any extras messing with you still? The girl just shook her head, though. I mean, yeah, but they don't really bother me anymore, if they do. As the great Bakugo Katsuki once said, those extras can say what they want. Her brother couldn't help but smirk at that, noticing her mimicking him. Damn right, Amari. They don't realize just how tough a Bakugo is, so go ahead and let them try. Nodding back, Amari's eyes then suddenly changed into something more sullen, staring at the building in thought. Hey, Katsuki, can I ask you something? Bakugo narrowed his eyes in confusion as he replied. What is it? She was silent for a moment before sighing heavily, obviously a lot on her mind. What would you do if you heard something completely crazy and you're not sure if what they said was the truth? The question was certainly odd, Katsuki not knowing how to answer. How crazy are we talking about here? Thinking about his words, Amari answered back. Like there is no way it could be true, but something in the back of your head is making you second guess yourself. Katsuki shoved his hands in his pockets before shrugging in response. The first thing I'd do is find out for myself if it's true or not. I don't believe any bastard's words unless I see it with my own eyes. Nodding her head back, she realized that her brother had a point, but that also brought another question in her head. Even if I had to do something crazy to find out? Just then, he playfully pushed her shoulder in response. Hell yeah, I would never back down from a challenge, no matter how impossible it may seem. Don't forget that. I'm going to be #1 hero. That means I'm not afraid of anything, so I'd say bring it on. He seemed very excited about his words, balling his hands into a fist, so much so that his passion was contagious, spreading into his sister as well, who was now smiling. Alright, I get it, Katsuki. Thanks, I think I understand now. Laughing back, she shook her head once before speaking again. Alright, well, I was going to see Shoto before dinner, so I'm going to start heading out. Katsuki seemed to accept that, watching her walk away towards the doors, only to call out to her. I'll see you later, nerd. This caused the girl to stop, turning to her brother and staring at him oddly for a long amount of time before speaking softly. Don't worry, Katsuki. You can trust me. Bakugo's eyes widened at her words, not understanding what she had meant. Although, soon he was about to. Todoroki heard a knock on his door and raised from a spot on the bed before revealing Amari. That was certainly strange. It wasn't like he didn't want to see her, although she never visited him without warning before. Kind of set off a warning bell in his mind. Amari, is something wrong? But the girl only shook her head, pointing inside. Can I come inside? Nodding his head, he gestured for her to enter. Of course. Todoroki watched her enter his room, now seeing the Japanese traditional layout. How did he even get his room to look like that? Her room was as simple as they came. Sorry for showing up so suddenly. I was just wondering if we could talk. The boy moved over to sit on his bed, patting the surface next to him so she could sit. You know I'll always say yes. Come here. Complying, Mari plopped herself down next to him, now feeling slightly embarrassed at their proximity and position. Right, so how are you doing? Obviously not expecting that, Todoroki replied. I'm doing all right. Strangely enough, my old man hasn't been harassing me as much as I thought he would. It's strange. The girl only coughed in response, though, knowing fully well why his dad hadn't said anything. Yeah, that's really weird. And she looked down at the floor for a few moments before getting down to business. Hey, Shoto, can you tell me about your family again? Not expecting that question, Todoroki turned his head towards her. What brought this on? Shrugging her shoulders, Amari replied, I don't know, I guess I'm just curious. You said you had a brother, right? Still not really understanding why, the boy leaned forward. I do, but he's in college at the moment. I don't really see him much anymore. Shaking her head, Amari pushed further. No, I don't mean him. I mean, this may seem weird, but do you have another brother? At her words, Todoroki froze, sharply turning to the girl at once, a bit of fear now in his eyes. How do you know about that? Amari widened her eyes as well, thinking of a quick solution in line to fool him. Oh, your father said something about it a while back. Hold on, is that really true? You never said anything before. He rose from his seat then before reaching down towards his shelf and taking out an old book of some sort. It looked to be a photo album. Then he opened the book before showing Amari the page, her eyes widening at the sight. There, in front of her, was a very small Todoroki, surrounded by a group of people. Some of them she knew, but there was a couple that were a mystery to her. Hearing Todoroki's voice in her ear, she glanced at the page in shock. I don't remember much about it since I was isolated as a child, but I did have another brother, although he died a long time ago. No one in my family has talked about it since then, so I can't believe my old man would have told you that. Not really wanting to explain that Endeavor wasn't really the one who told her, Todoroki then pointed to a small red-haired child in the corner of the photo. This is him, my older brother Toya. Mari nodded her head and gazed at the photo, only to feel herself grow nauseous. No, it can't be. That was impossible. Todoroki noticed her pale expression as well. Amari, what's wrong? You look like you're going to be sick. Shaking her head, the girl practically threw the book away before looking down at her hands in shock. Shoto, did you mean what you said before about wanting to have a real family again? He placed a hand on her knee, eyeing her with confusion. What do you mean? Resting her hand on his, Amari sighed. What if you could get your whole family together again? Would you take that opportunity? Shaking his head, Todoroki replied, Amari, you know that's impossible, but I guess if you're speaking hypothetically, then yes, I suppose so. I would give anything to rewrite the past. Amari's eyes bore into the floor, thinking about his words and closing her eyes. Then she turned to the boy before placing a hand on his cheek. Shoto. Touching her hand, he replied lightly, Yes? His voice coursed through all at once, leaning closer to him as another hand pressed against his mattress to brace herself. Do you trust me? Feeling the heat rise in his cheeks, Todoroki nodded his head. Of course. Hold on, let me read it. Okay, I think I'm okay. At the confirmation, Amari pressed her lips together for a moment before leaning even closer and kissing the boy sharply, causing Todoroki's breath to intake quickly at the reaction. He hadn't expected her to kiss him that forcefully. Grabbing onto his shirt, she pushed herself into him then, a level of desperation in her movements that he had never seen before. He questioned it, but didn't pull away, finding his hand on her waist in a moment's notice, pulling her into his scent. Her hands worked their way up to his hair, running her fingers through each of the strands, as her cool nails created a sharp shiver up his spine. Why did this feel far more intense than all their times before? He wasn't sure how to take it. They broke away a moment later, Amari staring at him with glazed eyes before blinking back in embarrassment, already struggling to stand. I'm sorry, that was really forward. Trying to gain her footing, the girl started to stand only for her legs to cave underneath her because of the shock. Todoroki leaned forward to catch her. Wait. Groaning at the impact, Amari hit the mattress only to realize that Todoroki was now towering on top of her because of the impact. He stared down at the girl he loved, only for her to turn away in embarrassment. The position they were in now was rather questionable. God, I'm so unsmooth. Although Todoroki didn't seem to mind, reaching his hand down to touch her messy hair in a single motion, still not moving from their position. I wouldn't say that. Then he leaned down and kissed this time, Amari closing her eyes in shock, the impact but slowly melting into his touch. Reaching up to grasp his strong back, she felt his body lower towards her until they were only a couple inches apart. Gasping for breath, they broke apart again as he stared down at her in utter awe and amazement. I know I'm not good at these kinds of things, but have I ever told you how beautiful you are? Mari's eyes widened then, turning away and placing a hand to the scars of her past littering her neck. He was staring right at them, and it was making her feel vulnerable. I just wish I could erase these ugly scars. Lowering his eyes in concern, Todoroki's hand covered hers, forcing her to show him. These scars made you who you are. We can try to erase them, but they will always be a part of us. I should know. Todoroki glanced at the floor as Amari understood what he meant and let her hands fall away. It was kind of stupid for her to be worried about this kind of thing when his pain was just as great, if not greater. I'm sorry. The boy just frowned, trailing his fingers across one of the scars on her collarbone. You don't have to apologize. I can understand your fear more than anyone. Then he leaned down and kissed the scars on her neck, causing the girl to arch her back in utter shock and surprise, the girl now sucking in a sharp breath at the sensation. He continued to trail up until all of her past pain was erased before reaching her collarbone and repeating the action. The girl grabbed onto his shirt in the process as a soft, prickling sensation appeared in her body. Moving his head up, Todoroki gasped out of breath before touching her cheek lightly. I love you, Amari. Amari leaned into his hand softly before replying back, just as desperate, reaching forward to pull him into an embrace. I love you too, Shoto. Still reeling from the moment, they gripped onto each other for a couple more moments before Amari whispered in his ear, a soft tickle coursing through his entire body. You have to trust me, Shoto, no matter what happens. Nodding his head, the boy then lifted his hand off her so that she could sit up. You know I always will. Smiling under her breath, Amari then looked at her phone before sighing. I guess it's time to go then. Katsuki's been pushing me to get dinner with him tonight. She hopped off the bed only for Todoroki to follow her to the door. I'll see you tomorrow? Although Amari only stopped then, looking down at the floor for a moment before muttering, Yeah, I don't know about that. Narrowing his eyes in confusion, Amari snapped back to life just as quickly, smiling back, although her smile had a hint of something else in it. I'll see you around, Shoto. She lifted her hand up as a goodbye, and he did the same, wondering why he felt so uneasy about everything all of the sudden. In fact, it was kind of strange for her to visit him and act so forcefully like that. He hoped everything was all right. Todoroki woke up to the sound of his door being pounded into, almost like it was going to be torn off its hinges. What was even going on this early in the morning? Ignoring his messy hair, the boy threw on a pair of pants before opening the door, only to find Bakugo staring back at him, fear clearly etched into his eyes. Finally, you bastard, what the fuck took you so long? Narrowing his eyes in annoyance, Todoroki yawned. It's early, Bakugo. What do you want? Although the boy didn't listen, just shoving Todoroki away as Katsuki forced himself into his room. Alright, where the hell is she? I've been pretty damn... I don't know the word. Lately with you. But if you think you can sleep with my sister, then... Not fully understanding, Todoroki looked towards the empty room in question. What are you talking about? Amari left last night. Katsuki stopped then, throwing one of the boy's pillows on the ground. That makes no fucking sense, because when I went to get her for dinner last night, she wasn't there. I assumed she was with you, but when I checked this morning, she still hadn't shown up. Processing his words all at once, Todoroki's eyes widened. She told me she was going to get dinner with you. Something's not right about this. Maria's brother balled his fist, shouting back roughly. Don't you think I know that? Where could she fucking be? That heavy pit appeared again as Todoroki raced towards to grab his jacket. Her words last night either meant one of two things. Either she was kidnapped again, or Murray had chosen to run away. Of course, neither option seemed great. Come on, we have to go tell All Might. Who knows what could have happened to her? Nodding his head, the boy raced down the stairs towards the common room, only to hear the TV echo out words that stopped them in their tracks all at once. Today we are following a mysterious break-in that took place at the local hospital last night, where a bunch of unidentified medicine has been stolen by 2 villains. Security cameras caught the duo in action. We have visuals now. The picture flashed on screen as Bakugo and Todoroki felt like they were going to be sick. In front of them was a staticky image of that purple-skinned villain from the training camp attack, and someone they knew very well. They watched in horror as the girl took out her old pack of pills, turning to the side only to find the black veins wrapping around the side of her neck, just like during the fight with All For One. What was happening? How was that even possible? She wouldn't use those pills again, right? They would kill her. Raising their shaky hands up to the screen, the TV rang out again, causing the entire world to stand still. We have confirmation that the female villain is none other than the first-year student Bakugo Amari from UA High School. Damn. Okay. I want to keep reading, but I can't. Nope. Okay. So check her out. She's really good, obviously. She's got this story planned out. It's we got one more season 3 chapter, and then we'll get to season 4. So yeah. Check her out. Like her stuff. The link will be in the description, and you will hear me in the next video. Bye.